Just picking up where we left off for the AT3 checklist, I do remember that we noted on the drawings where we think the exit signs and lighting need to go. It's where the nominated exits would be for the paths of travel that we calculated. So there was a roller door, a door next to a roller door. We can't use roller doors as exits.
Where are we up to on this?
That's what we're just trying to figure out. So on the second to last page, it's got E4.5 exit signs. I'm pretty sure we covered those. We're just over the top of the page, did we? Oh, that's good. Oh, that's right, because we were talking about the calculation of occupants in the facilities, and we discussed how many people we thought would be in each area to determine how many toilets we needed.
Yeah, we calculated how much we need for the toilet.
Quite right, quite right. Well done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was just, central compartment, room height, light and ventilation.
My nifty little sketch plans. So we were suggesting that an exit sign here and here, is that right?
Yeah.
But not here.
It's not there at the front.
But we do want one here. Excellent. Bless you. All right. Excellent.
And then we were saying that on top of the mezzanine as well.
That's true. We were hanging one down, weren't we? Up here to show people that they can turn around and go down. So this is not one of the ones where you go out. It's a path of travel sign and then heading down the stairs, and then they would go across to the actual approved exit. Excellent. It's all coming back to me now. Now, if I remember correctly, we were calculating the number of toilets and hand basins and what have you, but I don't know that we actually resolved how many we think we have to have and whether the drawings are compliant or not.
Yeah, didn't say it was compliant.
Did we get that far? That might have been where we left things off. Because there might be an opportunity to recommend that perhaps they need a second toilet. Because we've got a WC just here, and then we've got what looks like disabled access, and it'll have to be designed according to AS 1428.1. Looks like they've got a disabled toilet here. And that I vaguely recall that we said that that could be unisex. Was that right?
Yeah.
How many people did we say we had in the office? Is that 10 square metres per person?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many square metres do we have? About 27 square metres, is that right? Actually, I think it might be even a little bit further than that, because you've got that area at the front. How many square metres for the office? 14, 84 square metres, 14 by 6. And so that's 10 square metres per person. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 8.4 people.
Do you want me to write it for you?
Just bring up the table with the...
Why do I have drawings that don't have any actual... Yeah. No, they don't. And I just went through all the online ones.
Checklist.
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes on computers they don't show just because of the quality. Sometimes when I complete drawing, you zoom in more. That's why I was. So there's just that sheet that we had open.
Yeah.
What was the question, Andy?
She opened up this digitally.
Mhm.
There's no dimensions on it. The lines are there and everything, but just no numbers.
Neither is it on.
Definitely the same file? Because there are a couple.
Well, I'm not going through shared though. I'm going through. Let me go through shared.
Because there's sketch plans and then there's yeah. Oh, I just used the power board that's right next to that desk there. Just on the other side, yeah. Just on the top of the desk. There's a little power board just nearby. Yeah, you got it. No, it's fine. Yeah. So you're not looking at this one, Andy? Andrea, sorry.
No.
It's not this one you're looking at?
No.
It's the other one,
You
which
gave
I'm...
me a print off, which I left at home, but now I'm looking at mine online, like on the shared portal, and it doesn't have any information. That one.
Yeah. Yeah, let's put that there.
Floor plan?
Yeah, lots of sketch. That's a drafted one. So sketch. Yeah.
Which one is the one that you opened? Because I remember getting that for when you handed out the printout.
Are you looking at the folders that Sandra shared this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been doing it. We've been looking at them for days. It's right here. I just need to find it.
No, it's not this year.
It's in the assessment hub, I think.
Is it? Yeah. Yes, quite right. Thank you. Yeah. There. Here they all are. Yeah. So that's the one I was just looking at, but I don't want to open that one again because I've already got that. That's this one here. That's the more preliminary one, and then there's some slightly better ones.
That was from last year.
Yeah, this one has no dimensions. This is the one.
So is that called floor plan, Sabrina?
It is called Sketch Floor Plan.
Yeah.
When you're just opening, yeah.
The Sketch Floor Plans 1, what does that have? That no, that's not it.
So they should be handwritten
Sketch Floor Plan.
dimensions. That's weird. Yeah, that's not supposed to be there. How did that get there? Yeah, the handout's what should be in the cloud. Just a digital version of the handout. But for some reason it's not.
Scan it and get it up there in 2 minutes.
It's in the V drive.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because that's where it came from, the printout. Yeah. Odd. Alright. Don't worry too much just at this second. So have you got the physical
No, I left it
file?
home, that's why I'm looking
Ah,
at it.
okay. Here you
Some of
go.
the copies there.
Here you go.
Oh, thanks.
So just use the physical. For some reason the cloud file is just perhaps an old version. Don't sweat it. So Sandra, my trusty assistant, will work on that.
V-drive trade.
We put an exit sign on it. It was just determined by the fire engineer. What sort of exit sign it is. We just had to label that there is an exit sign there, but then the fire engineer will determine what exit
Or is it one?
Might be in 2.
Thank you.
I couldn't tell you, to be honest. Off the top of my head. I'm starting to forget. It'll be under assessment though, rather than delivery. I do know that. All right. So what I'm looking for is the table that talks about the number of people per room. Number of persons accommodated, D1.13. So we're just going to duck quickly back to that table. Remember this one? Number of persons accommodated. It's in the access section. So for an office, we have 10 square metres per person. So if we have 84 square metres in our office, and you need 10 square metres per person for accommodation for a person in an office, then we have 8.4 people in our office space. That's a bit generous, I think, under the circumstances, but we'll go with it anyway. Are you with me? Who have I lost?
Sorry, now I can't get anything closing.
Go back to the thing, right click and open with
Bluebeam, yeah, and then you can use the chapters.
That's do with the other Adobe or
Yeah.
you're trying to open.
I think the file names are quite long.
Because I couldn't do it with Bluebeam before, which is why I had it in.
Yeah, right, and now it's working and not the other. Phew. We're nothing if not adaptable.
Someone fixed my computer.
ITMS have been through with a broad brush lately. I won't say a fine-tooth comb, let's just say a broad brush. I'm just double checking the ablutions before we move on. It's a little overlap of what we were doing last time. Now I just want to double check. So on our checklist, we've got on the second to last page, right at the very bottom, F2.2, calculation of occupants and facilities. So what we're trying to verify is what Sandra did last time was determine the number of toilets and hand basins and urinals and things like that according to the number of staff that work in the office or the warehouse. So to be able to work out how many staff, because we need to know that first, you have to go back to D1.13, number of people occupied. So this table is in D1.13, where you're looking at the different uses of spaces and the number of square metres you get per person. So an office allocates 10 metres squared per person. So if we have an office space that's 84 square metres, we obviously have 8.4 people accommodated according to this table. And that's the number of people we have to use to determine how many toilets we have to provide. So it's a two-part process. How many people have we got? And then for that number of people, how many toilets do we need to provide? Birgit's looking confused. Oh, that'll do it every time. So we have the office, which is 84 metres squared, and that's
now, so we should, the warehouse sketch plan.
10 metres squared per person. Therefore, it's 8.4 people. Please excuse my maths if it's wrong, but I think I'm all right with just moving the decimal point today. I can manage that. What other types of uses have the NCC got for us? We talked about computer rooms and dance floors and factories, and we talked about whether, is what we're doing a factory? Is it a warehouse? Is it a laboratory? What have we actually got? And we ended up down here with now we didn't say workshop, did we? Where is it? I think we called it warehouse. Is that in here somewhere? Where did that go? We've got storage space. Let's just have a quick look here, very quickly. Art gallery, bar, boardroom, boarding house, cafe, car park, computer room, courtroom, dance floor, dormitory, early childhood centre, factory. So a factory is fitting and machining, fabrication, and a space for layout and use of fixed plant. This is simply just storage and wholesale sales, so it's probably not a factory. Gymnasium, hostel, indoor sports, kiosk, kitchen, library, office we've done, patient care, plant room, reading room, restaurant, school, shop, showroom, skating, spectator, storage space. That's probably pretty close to what we're dealing with, isn't it? Swimming pool, switch room, telephone exchange, theatre, transport, workshop. It's not really a workshop. So we went with storage space, didn't we? So that's 30 square metres per person. How many square metres in our storage space? So the warehouse plus the mezzanine. $603.
660 something.
Oh.
Take my word for that. 630.
Yep, 630 square metres sounds good to me. What's that divided by 30? $21 people. Again, I think that seems a bit excessive, but that's just me. I wonder how, I wonder how a certifier would feel about renegotiating the number of people according to the number of toilets. You reckon they'd ever have a go at that?
Well, it's not deemed to comply anymore if they do that.
No, it'd be an alternative
Yeah.
solution. But do you
Yeah.
think they would enter into it if you had? They wouldn't, would they?
Probably
Because
not.
the change of use could be
Yeah.
a different occupant
Yeah.
would use it differently, and you'd still have to have the
They
toilet.
generally don't like
Yeah.
doing it.
No, agreed. Would be interesting conversation. Has everybody got that down on their checklist already? We probably have already because we did it already. So we can't really have 0.4 of a person. What do we do with that? So technically we've got how many people? 29.4 people? Do we round up or round down, Sandra?
Oh,
For a 0.4 of a person? So if,
oh no, you have to go up.
do we have to go up? We can't go down? Okay. So we've got 30 people.
What if it's like
Do you round down if it's like 4 and under and upper?
No, you do and when you're giving change at
Part of a
McDonald's, but
person.
not for
Like
toilets.
part of a car park or part of a person.
Yeah,
just
it's
really
round up.
go up,
Yep. Yeah.
not under.
Otherwise you'd be
number
under.
of car parks
Yeah.
or number.
It was worth a try.
That's why I must have loved you.
Oh, thankfully they didn't have to deal with me too often. Yeah, it's wrong. Yeah, it was the way we interpreted it last time, and we're reinterpreting it this time, and we're getting a different answer. And I like this answer better.
30 total, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, we ended up there in the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just, yeah.
Just a bit of a weird way going about it. Yep. Yep. Because we were thinking the very front part would be reception and sales, but it's an office. Yeah. It is interesting that we come to the same calculation in the end.
Yeah.
It's quite fascinating, isn't
The
it?
numbers don't change.
No, just the way you classify it. So please do change the checklist to match what we've interpreted this year. I think it's more correct. But the equal ratio of male to female is still correct. There's really no proof that we have, no argument that we have an alternative. This is, moving equipment on a forklift, loading trucks and picking, what they call picking when you have an order and you go and select what you're supposed to order, has no bias gender-wise at all. So we've got no argument for bias for the ablutions either. So equal male-female ratio, so 15 of each. And now we've just got to duck back to where we were calculating the number of sanitary compartments that we need for those 15 males and 15 females. Remember we did this?
Yeah. Male was 1 wash closet and a hand basin.
Yeah, we've already done it.
Female.
Yeah. So remember, it's according to the class. So you can see here class 3, 5, 6 and 9. What's ours again?
6 and, oh wait, that's I was doing.
So it's 7B, I think, for the warehouse. Is that right? And 6 for the office? So 6 and 7. So we've got 6 here and 7 here. Would that be fair? So we can't really combine them together. We'd have to deal with the office and the warehouse separately. Everybody's looking a bit blank. So we're dealing with the number of ablutions, but it varies. This tally, this matrix we're drawing from, changes depending on the class of building. So we know how many people we've got in our office space, and we know how many people we've got in our warehouse space. Now we have to figure out how many toilets to provide for them. But if we've got people in an office, then that's going to be a certain class of building.
Well, we'd calculate the space of the office and how many.
So
people
here's
work
our
for
6.
one warehouse.
Yeah.
How
So
many
the office
people
has,
the same for the warehouse. and
Yep.
the
so if you want, let's have, see, and here's where it gets interesting. So if we've got 9 people, then we've got 4.5 female and 4.5 male. Is that then 5 of each, which is then 10?
Sorry.
I've never done that before.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. No.
It's not, is it? So if we were dealing with the exact 8.4 people,
Does it make a difference on your table?
I was going to say it
Yeah,
might not.
Sometimes you just go to the table and
So if we had, is everybody following what Sandra and I are talking about at the moment? Oh, excuse me. So we're dealing with 10 square metres per person in an 84 square metre office. That gives us 8.4 people. You can't have 0.4 of a person, you have to round it up to 9. So let's say we've got 9 people, but we're saying an even split, male-female, but you can't evenly split 9 people. There's 4.5 male and 4.5 female, which you can't have either. So just having a quick discussion with Sandra, is that then 5 of each? Because then that makes it 10, which is a big round up from 8.4. It's eking into higher categories. Now, what Sandra just said is, does it make any difference when we calculate it? Have we shifted from one category to another by making it either 4 or 5 staff? So let's have a look, and then we'll need to probably get some advice. So let's have a look. In our class 6, is that right, the office? Class 6, if we've got our calculation of male and female, the cut-off to the next category is 20 and 15. So it makes no difference whether we've got 4, 5 or 9 female or male. We're still only having to provide 1 closet pan. So it makes no difference whether we call them 4.5 people or 5 people.
So it's 1 toilet per 20.
So it's, no, see this goes across, it's 1 and 1. But if it's greater than 20, you have to add another pan for every 20 increment above 20. So 20, 40, 60, you have to keep adding another toilet. So that's class 6 only, not class 7.
So if we've got,
So for our 4.5 female employees in the office and our 4.5 male employees in an office, we have to provide a closet pan for each. But there was the extra bonus, if you like, of that it can be unisex if the hand basin is inside. Remember? Now where is that? You remember, Sandra? Probably is close by. I'm just going to do a quick scroll and see if I can find it, and then we'll come back to our calculations.
probably do that. Go to 39 people and then say in this whole building we've got 39 people that's less than 20 for each. And do them both together. Separate them for the different use. Even though the table says that, you probably go to the one that's got the higher requirement.
Would you?
Yeah, because that would mean you always have to have 2 less than 2 people in there.
No.
One of each.
Yeah. Perhaps.
Because if you think about it, you're under 20 for each of them then. One is 1 to 15, isn't it, for men?
The females is 1 to 15. Yeah.
Warehouse there.
Hang on a sec. Same. 20 and 15.
Yeah. You're going to be over females anyway, because you've got 39. And 29 people. 29, 29.
Total is
29.
29.4.
Well, say it's less than 50 of each, and you're providing 1 for each.
That's how they...
That's how you get it.
Okay. Can you explain that? Would you mind? Sorry. Guys, Sandra's just brought something to my attention that is really realistic, if you like.
I believe the way that I've done this in the past is that So we've got a total of 39 people for the entire building, office and
29.
storage. And if we say we've got 39 people.
29.
29. 39. Keep thinking that's
It looks like a 9, sorry, that's my,
so for the 29 people, that's like, well, even split is basically less than 15 of each.
well, it's 30 people and it's 15 each, yeah,
15 female.
yeah, yep.
And our table for both, I can't do this today. Male. So our total for each for the class 6 is 1:20 for the male and 1:15 for the female. So we're in that category. If we look for our class, what was our other class?
7.
7. It's the same. So I would just go to whichever of these tables for whatever class of building is the more onerous requirement, basically. That's what the search bar will look for, that you're complying with the most onerous. So if this says, 1 to 10 females, let's say the office says 1 to 10, then you'd be using the office class as opposed to using the warehouse class. So we can see that if we've got 15 of each, it's telling us that we're compliant if we provide one number for the males and we're compliant if we provide one for the female. And that's for the whole building. We've less than 15 for the whole building. So my take on this is that we just need one male, one female for this building. Okay?
But which one will be disabled?
In addition, we need to disable it. Now, I'm a bit, thinking that we need to say that this facility needs to have one additional toilet facility, because you do need one for each in accordance with this table.
Yep.
But you also need a unisex sanitary facility.
Well, they've got 2 toilets, but one has been converted into a mini bathroom. So,
Yes, but that's a disabled accessible facility.
yeah, but it's still only 2. They're not adding an extra toilet for that. They're using
Yeah,
one
exactly. So
toilet.
they can't really do that. You need a male and a female, and you need the disabled accessible.
So that's what I was looking for when I was saying I think that there's an allowance to use the unisex disabled facility to count as 1 for each sex. I just couldn't find it.
And there's a wash basin in the other one, which means
It has to include the hand basin, yeah, for it to be considered unisex.
unisex.
Yeah.
They're both technically unisex.
Oh, you're quite right. That's got the hand basin in there as well. Good point, good point. Yes, 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 yes. Well done.
They're provided to.
However, one is
So one is unisex and the other one is unisex disabled.
Yes, yep.
Ah, that's how they've got around it. That's how. Okay. On a technicality, yeah. But that's not.
The reality is, this is the space we have, but we don't have that many staff.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made any. Yeah, wouldn't have made any difference. Yeah.
That sort of
Yeah.
negotiations doesn't matter.
But in reality,
Space you have. If you don't have enough space, then you don't have enough space. You can't build a building. If you go to third party saying, we don't have that many staff. It's not
yeah,
about the amount of staff you have
No.
today. It's about how many staff that building can accommodate over the
Forever.
time of the building. So that doesn't cut it either with it.
what it will help is resolving the brief, because those people, regardless of how many are in there, need to be satisfied in the building. So this is the minimum which they're providing, but is that also going to be satisfactory for the type of workforce that they're accommodating? So yes, we're compliant, but is it also in accordance with the brief? Like, is the client going to be happy? Are the users going to be happy? So they might say, actually, no, we want an additional toilet because we just want it to be that way. But that's not a bad scenario, what they've got.
If you're the only female working out in the warehouse with a load of guys,
Yeah.
it really is
You'd be coming in to use the office
you'd be
one.
coming in to use the office one, but that's over and above what everybody else has to do around you, because you have to come right in and you have to come through the office space
Yep.
to do that,
Yep.
So it's, the layout is set up that, the disabled accessible toilet, we'll put that in for the office workers, we'll have that in there, and it's kind of, not written on the door, but it's the female toilet, and we'll put the male out the back. But
Yeah.
that's actually a little bit discriminatory.
Yeah, that's
if
not
you're a
good.
female working out the
Yeah.
back. Or vice versa, if you're the male in the office.
Yeah. And all they would have to do is move that window a little bit along and put another cubicle there, and it'd be fine.
Yep.
So I would perhaps say, yes, it's compliant the way it is, but for good work practices, perhaps advise an additional cubicle and then an airlock between the two, at the front of the two. Because the stairs go above, they can fit it under the stairs. But adjacent, they could have another toilet. I like the hand basins in the toilets idea. That's quite civilised. I like that. I don't know how many people are actually going to use the shower.
Don't put the hand basin in the toilet though, because they like to have the hand basin in the warehouse area. So if
Yeah.
you're working with something dirty, you can just
Yeah.
go over and use
Yeah,
the hand
you don't have to go in the
basin.
loo.
That's another
Yeah.
design.
If they did that, would they would definitely have to have a second toilet?
Yeah. Having the hand basin in is the only reason why they're allowed to call it unisex. Yeah. And the shower in the disabled toilet, I don't know if that's a requirement of disabled toilets, but I don't know how many people are going to use the shower. They often they just get left static.
Storage area.
Yeah, boxes end up in there, yep.
Newer disabled toilets tend to have some sort of shower.
Yeah.
Even if it's not closed in, they're just...
No, they're typically not,
with
just the
pipe
floor.
shower.
Yeah.
So the space that you need with the shower and the disabled accessible toilet is larger than if you didn't have the shower in there in the first place. But however, they're still both layouts, even without the shower, take up quite a bit of floor area. And clients often just have the option. They want a shower room. Some people like to cycle to work. Some people just want that.
Yeah, that's true.
Site. And you'll often find the clients, the business owners, they like it. They tend to use it if it's the shower.
Okay.
You know, they're heading off somewhere straight after work or whatever.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, good point.
A lot of people go for the option of let's put the shower in with it.
Just have it. Yeah.
We'll have a shower facility.
Yep.
And then we,
And we can store boxes there if nobody uses it.
but it hasn't been cleaned for 2 years and nobody wants to use it.
Yes. Yes. All right. I'm happy if you're happy. That's not a bad resolution. Thank you for that combination. So does everybody follow what Sandra said? That if the requirements for the two different classes were different, you would have to go with the one that required more than less. But because ours are the same, we're treating the tally the same, treating the whole building the same, and will probably be permitted. And that's where we get the 15 of each, so that's a toilet each. And by putting the hand basins inside the toilets, they become unisex. So we've got one of each, and one of them happens to be disabled. So this is compliant. It's not super generous when it comes to toilet facilities, but it is compliant. For the life of me, couldn't remember how that all happened. Would you write that down in detail? It'll be another 12 months. Yeah, I am. Yep. Pardon?
We're not going to add another bathroom there?
No, but you can make a note in the report if you'd like to that better practice might be to include a second toilet in the warehouse area.
It is compliant with the calculation. It is compliant.
Yeah, it just would encourage a better mix of male and female employees if there was a little bit more privacy when it came to the toilets. And I mean, people who apply for jobs don't ask about the toilet facilities, but they'll stay in a job if they're respected. So it's not so much about recruitment, it's more about longevity.
I think too, like if you're thinking about that there's going to be a few females in the warehouse, they're only just breaking into that area, which is technically a men's.
Yes.
They're already combating a lot of...
It's bad enough without having to deal with the toilet. Yep.
Yeah.
Without having to take themselves somewhere else.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. And if there's guys in the office, they're not going to come out and use the warehouse toilet. That's the guy's toilet. They're going to use the same loo in the office themselves. So, yeah, I would definitely perhaps note that in the report that it would be a good idea.
What would you write within that?
So it's just about equal opportunity. So you want to be,
So you just said that the facilities that they currently showing in the floor plan do meet the minimum NCC requirements. However, from a design perspective, you can see a flaw in the design in that the toilets are quite segregated. One certainly in the office area, one in the other. And even though they're working in unisex toilets, both of them, to add separate male and female to serve the warehouse area. Something like that. You certainly would, in this instance, if this was your design and you were proposing to do this, you would certainly be having a conversation with your building certifier very early in this design process about that. What you don't want is for him to come back when he gets 90% complete drawing to say, actually you
You
really
need
do
another
need
toilet.
an extra toilet. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
late in the design to be having to accommodate that. So you want to have these discussions early. Do the calculations early, see what your minimum requirements are, see if your minimum requirements suit your client and the people who are going to be using it in terms of functionality, and then have a discussion with the certifier about compliance.
When I was a little girl, I used to ask Mum, why don't we have a poo toilet and a wee toilet?
Ah!
Like, they should be like that still. That's why the dads don't use the ensuite, they use the
Yeah, so true.
Get out of here.
Go away, that's right. All right. Where else did we get to? Oh, so here's our facilities in class 3 to 9 buildings, which I think is where we ended up last week, was it?
We were getting right to the end of
Yeah.
sanitary facilities before we left the
Yeah. Except where permitted, separate sanitary facilities for males and females must be provided in class 3 to 9 buildings in accordance with the table. If not more than 10 people are employed, a unisex facility may be provided instead of separate facilities for each sex. So that's not the case for us, but that's something to remember. If the majority of employees are of one sex, not more than 2 employees of the other sex may share toilet facilities, if the facilities are separated by means of walls, partitions and doors to afford privacy. Employees and the public may share the same facilities in a class 6 and 9B building. So we have our 6, our office. So if we want to let the public use our toilet, we can. It's not typically encouraged. You don't often see, like I've been to Dabsco, they must have toilet facilities there, but there's no sign saying toilets. They don't encourage the public. It's not like a cinema where you're providing those public facilities. It's a retail outlet, but I suppose in an emergency somebody could just ask and say, can I use the loo? And you could let them. There's not really much talk about the public in the provision of toilets, is there?
Actually, I think it's a flaw, I believe. I don't think there's enough public toilet facilities at all.
I agree.
Out and about in general, and I really don't like this new design where we have, like the waterfront where they've got all the restaurants.
Yeah.
With your people having drinks in the restaurant, and you've got a 100-meter hike to the loo.
Yeah.
And often it's at night time.
Yep.
Often the toilets are isolated around the back.
Yeah.
I went to Sydney recently. It's all over Sydney. Every restaurant we went to, I literally walked through restaurant kitchens to get to the toilets on a number of occasions.
Wow.
Which to me is completely
that's not compliant.
Not compliant with health regulations for restaurant kitchens. I think there's a bit of upgrading to be done on this part of the NCC. If you looked on the table, just noticed it was under the office. It's one for shopping centres.
Yeah, they're separate.
You provide one facility between 1 and 1,200 people. What? Do you really want to be in that queue for the loo? So thank you. No. So I think there's a lot of work to be done on this. I don't think there is enough facilities out and about at all. I think people with small children realise too that you have to have.
I wonder what it is at your sporting facilities.
Yes. Some of those,
like you have a bloody football game or something.
I know the entertainment centre has recently put a huge extension on their toilet block in there.
Have they?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially down in Cup.
It's ridiculous. Everybody comes
You
out
see all
at
the
the same
women
time.
in the male's toilet.
Yeah.
It's so bad. They're just squatting over the urinal in the male's toilet. You walk in and like, there's a lady in the urinal.
Yeah.
Because of lack of toilets.
That what happens at the races stays at the races. We're moving on from that conversation really quickly. Juan, thank you.
But I do think there are going to be.
It gets bad. Because
there was a time when you went to restaurants and there was always a toilet in the restaurant,
Yeah.
Leave all your things at the table and walk off and go to the toilet.
Hanneman and things. Yep. Wayne Gabbett did the Hanneman and it's good. All right. Adequate means of disposal of sanitary towels must be provided in sanitary facilities for use by females. Separate sanitary facilities for males and females need not be provided for patients in a ward area. 9A, 9A, 9B. Moving on. Lots of information about that. All right. Access.
I wonder if there's something that can be used as one.
Yeah, did you see that? Did you see it?
Here,
Yeah. No, before.
Before, okay.
Yeah. So accessible sanitary facilities, so the disabledly accessible sanitary facilities, must be provided in accordance with table F2.4. We did that already, and we didn't have to do any, except for the one. Did we?
I think we have to do it.
Were we just there? Did we just not do that? Oh yeah, sorry, different table. So F2.4, this is where we decided that we had to have one. Class 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, where F2.3 requires closet plans. So if you have to have a toilet, there needs to be one on every story. So where you've got toilets for this class of building, you have to have at least one. If you've got multiple banks, so if you've got a single story and you've got multiple banks, then there needs to be at least, where a story has more than one bank of compartments with male and female, at not less than 50% of those banks. So if you've got 8, you have to have 4.
So I did a warehouse office development quite reasonably similar to the one we're looking at, and I had to do one disabled accessible bathroom on the ground floor, and we had office at first floor level. There was no lift in the building, so it didn't seem reasonable to have a
Disabled
full,
toilet.
disabled accessible bathroom at first floor level. However, the office was housed up there, so we ended up having to provide an ambulance disabled accessible bathroom on the first floor level with the office. So one up, one down. Yeah. So the requirement on every level has to be addressed somehow.
Go before you dig, it's pretty entertaining.
Code in China, there's not that great of a bit in code in China. So like all the public toilets are open, so you just walk in there. It's like a cubicle with no doors.
Terrific.
And the cubicles are only this high, and it's like open. So when you squat in there,
It's like in the preschool.
Yeah, terrific.
Walking past you, it's like So, yeah, you want to make sure that you do all your business in the hotel before you get out.
Where is it?
In China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in we tell those travel stories in Greece and Cyprus, where I've visited the screen, and we'll tell you this as well. They were the world leaders. They put in their sanitary facilities way before everybody else, but their pipes are sized very small, so you cannot flush.
Can't flush the toilet. Mexico's the same.
Toilet. You have to put it in the bin beside the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very big.
Yeah.
Like in Amsterdam, they're very big in like public urinal area, like all around Europe as well now. I think they're starting to put some in France, but like I was walking around and there's like this public urinal area where you just walk in. It's like it's all like covered in stuff.
Enclosed, yeah.
Enclosed, but you can just like anywhere, just everywhere.
Just adding more. Yeah, right.
Yeah. There are public facilities, yeah.
But yeah, it's open, but
Yeah.
like you just have to walk around the corner.
And accessible unisex showers must be provided in accordance with the table 2.4b. So we're just going to duck back here to 2.4b. I'm going to click on the link because now it won't go there. So for a class 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, where F2.3 requires a shower. So did we require a shower? Actually, I confess we didn't actually look at the rest of the table properly. Let me just have a look. So we were looking at, a bit cross. No, they don't. That's a bit weird. So this is hard to see, but it's the number of employees, and it's male and then female. And we've got the number of closet pans is 1, and then we've got urinals. So that's the office is 6, and the warehouse is a 7 is 0. So we actually do have to provide a urinal. Let me just see if I can get that screen to look right.
But then that would mean it's a separate sex toilet now.
Yeah. That's interesting. So we've got class 6 and we've got class 7. So for class 7, we need 1. So it's 1 and 1. That's interesting.
So in your report, I would just simply say that table
F2.3
requires one urinal. So the one urinal would cover both classes, both.
Yeah,
classes
just
and the
one,
warehouse, so
yeah.
you would require one urinal. You know.
But you.
Actually, I mean, if you combine them,
The toilet in and then it won't be required.
You'd have to discuss
No,
it
urinal's
with your,
different.
with your building search fire. You'd
Yeah.
have to, because you don't comply with the table. So when you don't comply with the table, it's not deemed to comply with pollution anymore, and so that's a big discussion with your search fire.
and then you need a wash basin.
Can you put, does the urinal have to be in a separate cubicle, or can it be?
Not necessarily.
I've never
But then
seen
it
a
would
urinal in a unisex.
No, then it would stop it being a unisex toilet.
But if there's male, female will have a toilet, male will have urinal
And
and
the closet.
Yeah, yeah, but then you would need the third cubicle.
Yeah.
Because we're not using unisex anymore.
yeah. Good.
So it adds more weight to our recommendation of having a further
Yeah.
location. Goodness me.
I guess.
So they could add a separate room just for a urinal and keep the two. That would work. You would probably put two in.
Probably put two in.
You wouldn't just have a whole room for just one urinal. You would probably put two, like a splash against the wall or something like that. So we're recommending to add a urinal according with table F2.3. And then there's a wash basin for male and a wash basin for female, so one in each.
I come back to where I asked us about the disabled accessible though.
Yeah.
Or the shower, sorry, the shower.
Yeah, so I'm just looking for the shower part because that's what I came back for.
The unisex showers?
No, the disabled. So here in accessible sanitary facilities, it says accessible unisex showers must be provided in accordance with table 2.4b. So I'm just going to have a quick look at 2.4b. And in 2.4b says, if you have to have a shower, then this is how many disabled ones you have to have. But there's nothing in 2.3 about showers. So we might have found a boo-boo. So here it says, for classes 5 to 9, where table F2.3, which is the one we were just looking at that said closet pans, urinals and wash basins, didn't have anything about showers, where that requires one or more showers, then not less than one for every 10 showers have to be accessible. But the problem is, I can't find...
2.3, that's not a table, which I'm just looking through.
Yeah, right. There's lots in 2.3 about showers for healthcare buildings, but that note we were reading that led us here said not healthcare buildings, which is why there's so much information about them.
No, the F2.3 doesn't talk about showers in...
I'm just looking back at the table again. There's definitely... Can anybody see anything in F2.3, the table to it, anything about showers?
Because 2.1 talked about facilities in residential buildings, but mostly
Yeah.
about residential and talked about a lot to do with showers there.
Yeah.
Have a shower in those, but not residential aged care.
There's really nothing in there.
We don't need
We-
a shower in this type of building.
We may have found a glitch in the NCC.
Sending us around in circles.
It is. It's one of those awful things that I was talking about that time. As far as I know, you don't have to. That they have is just a bonus. So it talks about banks of toilets and accessibility and the way that it's supposed to work. So table F2.4b, accessible unisex showers, has a different set of information for class 3 and 9C, but where it's got the 5 to 9, it just is referring back to that other table. Not to worry. So a bit of a reminder about the construction of sanitary facilities. So other than early childhood centres who get treated differently, they must have doors and partitions that separate adjacent compartments. So at the moment we've got 2 separate rooms, so we're compliant with that. But if we were to add a second compartment on the warehouse side, there would need to be partitions between the 2. So that it needs to be from floor level to the ceiling for unisex facilities, to a height of not less than 1.5 above the floor for primary school children and 1.8 above the floor for everywhere else. So if we were having open partitions, they would have to be to at least 1.8 metres above the floor. So make a note of that. F2.5 A III.
So
So on the checklist?
toilets that you go into, there's just that
Yep.
position where you can
So-
pass the toilet paper underneath and...
Yeah, and have a chat with
going
each other.
over, you know,
Yep, yep. Nothing wrong with that as long as it goes to 1.8. But so F2.5 on the checklist has got unisex walls and doors, full height, all others 1.8 metre minimum. So that's required on your checklist.
It says here, I don't know if this, where a story has more than one bank of sanitary compartment containing male and female sanitary compartments. And
Yeah, we
not less
mentioned
than
that.
15%.
Yep. So like if you've got 8, you've got a huge big single story place and you've got 8 banks of toilets, at least 4 of them have to have disabled toilets.
Okay, is this what it means by accessible unisex showers must be provided in accordance with table 2.4?
So that's showers.
Yeah.
The other one was toilets.
Okay.
Yeah. You're on the right track though. It's good. And then there's a little note saying the door to a fully enclosed sanitary compartment must either open out or slide or be removable from the outside. So if you've got full height and then you've got a door so it's all closed in, you have to be able to open it outwards, be able to lift it off, or it needs to slide. So that's the next note round. You can see that says doors must open out, slide or be removable unless a 1.2 metre clearance is between the pan edge and the door swing. So you could put a little note there and say, if fully enclosed. Obviously, if you've got the gap at the bottom and the top, you could just climb over. It's not that it's pleasant, it's at least doable. So if fully enclosed. All right. And there's a couple of bits of information. Basically what they want to try and create is clear space with a 1200 millimetre diameter from the apex of the door swing and just give people space to fall on the floor and still be rescued. Some information here in 2.6, which I don't have on the checklist as far as I can see, but it's interesting nonetheless. So the urinals can be individual stalls, they can be wall hung, and they can be 600 millimetres in length of a continuous urinal trough or a closet pan used in place. So you can have a closet pan in place of a urinal. I don't think that means that we can have one closet pan for our closet pan and our urinal. I don't think that's compliant. I think they're just saying if you have to have a urinal and a closet pan, you could have 2 closet pans.
That's what I asked it for.
Yes, I think you can swap them.
Yeah, yeah, quite right. It still works, but doesn't mean you can have one less. Yeah.
So we're going to be putting in...
We're saying they need a urinal. Yeah. So I suppose if we were talking about the equal opportunity of providing additional space, then they'd fit that bill too. Yeah. If they, rather than having a urinal, you'd have another toilet.
F2.2 compliant, however, F2.3 does not.
Correct.
They, instead of opting for a cubicle that's got a urinal, they could create one that's got a toilet.
Yeah.
It would
And it would sufficiently cater for both.
service more staff. So
Yeah. 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 A bit more versatile. And the wash basin can be individual or part of a trough. There's some information about Legionella control and making sure that the systems for class 2, 3 or 4 parts of a building are installed according to 3666, the Australian standard, just to make sure that microbacteria doesn't build up in drinking water. Waste management, F2.8. There's a cool phrase, slop hopper. Does anybody know what a slop hopper is? What a cool word.
I can't even see where you.
Oh, it's just here. So it's outside of our class. It's not to do with us, but I just spotted it with my eye. I'm like, that's a cool word. What's a slop hopper? Does anybody know? Go ahead and Google it. I won't tell you.
Is it a bottom dropper?
What's a bottom dropper?
Bottle.
Oh, no. A long drop? No. There's no NCC for that.
There's no NCC. Oh, really?
Do you want to describe it? So is it where the mop gets
Yeah.
drained? So it's a low sink with a grate over the top?
Something also referred to as a slop, something. Are used to empty and fill pails. There we go.
Yeah.
I can do that word.
Sounds like an American word, doesn't it?
You
okay.
actually see them quite a bit in the
So,
toilet.
yeah. So you can upend a bucket and then leave the bucket upside down on the grate and it's not sitting in the basin. It's not a toilet, it's a drain for cleaning. You can rinse a mop onto it, you know.
Yeah.
You can't often take cleaning products outside to air out, so this is a way for them to be able to do it. So you're typically just seeing a fairly low, it's not normally a toilet, but it's a low sink, yeah, so that you can fill up a bucket at a low height. So imagine the occupational health and safety of taking the hot water from a tap into a mop bucket on a low sink and then being able to put that on the ground rather than on a high sink and having to lift it down like you might have to at home. Hey?
Easier.
Very cool.
In the trough.
What a weird, wonderful word. Slop hopper. There you go. Never mind, we're just moving on past that.
In the cleaner's storeroom,
Yeah.
we'll often have a slop hopper.
Yep. All right, F3, room heights. So the main thing is it must have sufficient height. Let's have a look and see what we've got. We don't have any habitable rooms. All right. So in a class 5, 6, 7 or 8 building, except as allowed in 1 and F, it needs to be 2.4 metres. And corridors, passageways or the like, 2.1 metres. In any building, a bathroom, shower room, sanitary compartment, airlock, tea prep room, pantry, storeroom, garage, car parking area, or the like, 2.1 metres. Commercial kitchen, 2.4. Above a stairway, ramp or landing, 2 metres. So our head height above the stairs is the same for commercial as it is for residential, 2 metres minimum height above the stairs, 2.1 for bathrooms, the sanitary compartments, the kitchenette, and everywhere else 2.4. Is it okay on the checklist there? Does that look all right? So just put required. That is required. F3. Nice and easy. F4, light and ventilation. There's lots of information there about chemical buildup, so feel free to read that if you like. So the provision of natural light must be provided in 2, 4, 3, 9, A, C and B. Doesn't look like there's a requirement for the provision of natural light in our 6 and 7B classes. There's no minimum requirement for the commercial class. However, F4.4 artificial lighting must be provided in required stairs, passageways and ramps. And it must comply with AS 1680. So, artificial lighting must be required, it must be provided in required stairs, passageways and ramps, and if natural light is not available for the periods of occupation or use of the room or space, and it will create undue hazard to the occupants seeking egress in an emergency, it has to be provided there as well. So if it's going to be dark in the dark, you have to provide artificial lighting. Reasonably common sense there, thankfully. So you'll see on the checklist it says F4.4, artificial light is required for all rooms occupied everywhere. So you can just put required. F4.5, ventilation of rooms. So habitable rooms, offices, shops, factories, workrooms, sanitary compartments, bathrooms, shower rooms, laundries, and any other room occupied by a person for any purpose must have natural ventilation complying with F4.6 or mechanical ventilation or air conditioning complying with AS 1668.2 and 3666.1. So we'll have a quick look here. There's F4.6, so natural ventilation moves straight on. Natural ventilation provided in accordance with the clause above must consist of openings, windows, doors or other devices which can be opened with a ventilating area of not less than 5% of the floor area of the room required to be ventilated. It needs to open to a suitably sized court or space open to the sky, or an open veranda, carport or the like, or an adjoining room, accordance with the table. So you can borrow ventilation, but I don't think we need to. I think most of our rooms open directly to open space. Have a quick look at our floor plan. Are there any rooms that don't have an opening into open space? You've got a few jobs open, love.
These are the closed ones, but the speakers have gone into them, so I can't reopen it.
So more details doesn't let you do anything?
It gives me that. Let me reopen.
So if you click on the up and down there a bit, if you click there, yeah, click, it's just a big button. It should take you to another option to say no, you're not satisfied.
So we would only need ventilation in the bathroom, which we need anyway.
There's a sliding window area.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Little windows there? Yeah,
Well, reopen it as a new job.
I guess. Yeah, and paste. So F4.6. Sorry, what? Two things?
Mentions for it as a window though.
No, it's too early. So you would have to say minimum of 5% of the square meterage. How many square meters is it? 2.4 by 2.4?
Are we sure they're windows?
Yeah.
Sliding window.
So they just haven't put it on the dimension.
Not necessarily sliders, but does the elevation give you any information? They do look a bit like sliders, yeah. Yeah, they're sliders, yep. So they look like they're perhaps 600 wide and maybe...
Is this in the warehouse?
Yeah, we're just having a guess at this dimension. Yeah.
So often office areas and perhaps bathroom areas in the facility like this, because it's a workplace,
They're all
nobody really
air-conditioned.
controls the opening and closing of the windows.
they're
They
fixed.
often use mechanical ventilation in the
Yeah.
office.
There's a little gap in the checklist here for F4.6. We've got F4.5. Habitable rooms must have mechanical ventilation. But we haven't actually gone with natural ventilation. It is a bit uncommon when it comes to fully air-conditioned office spaces, but we do have the warehouse that's not going to be air-conditioned. We talked about putting a fan in, and the roller doors you know, a write-up. So we're quite
Really
compliant.
noticed that the other day when
Oh,
we
did
were in
you?
the warehouse, how was the difference it made with the cross ventilation between having the rolling doors on either side.
Yeah, right. You could really feel it.
Blowing through the building.
Yeah, brilliant. So we're obviously compliant with the warehouse side of things, but the natural ventilation is probably not going to be used in the office because it'll be fully air conditioned, which is where 4.5B comes in. So you can have natural ventilation, or you can, which is 5% of the minimum floor area, or you can have mechanical ventilation. I suppose that's why the checklist says habitable rooms must have mechanical ventilation, so they've gone straight for that. So if you want to put a little note on the checklist saying, or 4.6, 5% of the floor area for natural ventilation. But it's pretty uncommon, particularly where you've got computers, because they need to be kept cool. They don't cope well in the heat. So you typically would air condition the space just to keep the computers cool, let alone the people. So the checklist is correct.
Okay, so then,
We're saying it's compliant because 4.5 allows for mechanical ventilation. We achieve 4.6 in the warehouse, so you could perhaps add that. So F4.6 is compliant for the warehouse. And we're compliant with F4.5 in the office for mechanical ventilation. Damien did say just to call him, didn't he, about the speakers?
Oh, yeah, true.
We could just do that. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. So we're not borrowing any ventilation from adjoining rooms, but you already know a bit about that. There's restrictions on locations of sanitary compartments. We don't have any public dining rooms or kitchens or anything like that. There's a little note here. It says, sanitary compartment must not open directly into a workplace normally occupied by more than one person. Would you say that our warehouse toilet might open directly into a workplace occupied by more than one person? So perhaps we could just consider an airlock. We're adding another compartment, and then we've got perhaps an opportunity for an airlock. My pen. So if we've got one toilet here, and we've got another toilet here, and then we've got the toilet itself, the door, and then another area with the room. So this is then the airlock. And then this is outside or into the warehouse itself. That would be the way that I would put it together, so that it's not opening directly. So we have to add another one, and we're saying don't open directly. So that would suit both of those.
So would we be better off to have two toilets side by side on that side and then a airlock out the front there, because you can't extend further onto the stairs?
can we move the stairs a bit more?
You could pivot the toilets around.
You could have to move the window.
Minimum though.
Just the fireys checking the pressure of the fire hose. Yeah, they would probably have to pivot the toilets around to fit them. Yeah. And then have mechanical ventilation that was compulsory.
And we're gonna
Yep.
have to move the
That's when you
window.
would have unisex on the airlock door, and then behind that you would have the male and the female toilets.
Or you probably just have male and female on the door, and then male and female on the door.
Because the DCP has a door that says unisex. So when I first went there, I thought, oh, you know, they're all together as one.
Okay,
bathroom.
but it's not.
Behind it, there's an
Yeah, that's
airlock,
weird.
And there's two.
Yeah.
There's a male and a female.
It's not
all
unisex,
go into separate bathrooms.
it's both sexes, but you've got one and he's got one.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
it says unisex. I was
That's
like-
weird.
I was wondering if they may have been using that to avoid having an extra toilet.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Oh,
it
dear.
sounds like something.
Could be, because it's not technically if you've got the male and female behind that door. So if we do have an airlock, it has to be a unisex airlock. Yeah, could be, unisex airlock. That's probably true. They should probably just put male and female on the door. Or toilets
Yeah.
would be a good idea. What about that? Just write toilets. Minimum of 1.1 square metres for the airlock. Just a little note there.
So what we're proposing is that we just switch that over.
They could perhaps consider, yeah. So we don't really technically have to redesign it, we just have to highlight the compliance requirements, yeah. No car parks, no kitchen. So every store of a car park, so it's not a car park, it's not an open deck car park. Kitchen, no kitchens. F.5, sound transmission and insulation. Does that apply to us? I don't think it does. Let me just double check. No. So residential only. And then there's a little note here. So that's F, section F. Section G is ancillary provisions, so minor structures, boilers, atriums, alpine areas and bushfire prone areas. And quite happily goes on right past that. Section H is 9B, public transport and farm sheds. I is blank, I don't even remember what it used to be, and section J is energy efficiency. And you'll see very quickly, unfortunately, that it doesn't apply. So as soon as you pop into section J, energy efficiency, there are 3 links, one to New South Wales, one to the Northern Territory and one to Queensland. And if you click to the Northern Territory one, for section J does not apply to class 3 and 5 to 9 buildings. So that's where our investigation of the NCC ends. Sorry that was a little bit messy, that last little bit. There's lots to discuss about toilets. Pretty exciting places. Lots happens, they're expensive. What can you do? Does anybody have any questions? Apart from, oh my goodness, how are we ever going to do this as a job going forward? Experience will help you.
When you're working on bigger buildings, these class 3 to 9 buildings, the 83 buildings, you will have a design team assisting you.
And you
It
can
will not be you on your own doing it.
smash it all out and thresh it all out and decide what's best, and then advise the client what's best practice, not necessarily the minimum for the NCC. Check with the certifier that you're achieving what you need to. Yeah. Confer. So we're doing our best to read between the lines of what might the certifier say and interpretation, and then also consider what is best for the client. So,
and the best way to start that off is just to obviously have an awareness that where you can get this information from the NCC. Read the tables as best you can. Start your sketch design. Put down on paper what you think you're going to do, and then as soon as you've got that concept in place, have a meeting with your building certifier. Start discussing it with them. They are the ones at the end of the day who have to sign off on that warehouse development or whatever the case may be, and they're the ones at the end of the day you have to satisfy that you are compliant with the NCC.
any other questions? Cool. All right.
So are we doing this afternoon working on reports and then tomorrow morning